Hi class. So we got a handful of lecture videos, short lecture videos to kind of introduce you to chemistry. So this first one here is just a real basic overview of kind of what do we study in chemistry and then some of the things we're going to see in the next two or three videos. Right? So what chemistry really studies is called matter. And it's kind of the basic idea. If you look up, what's chemistry, the study of, it's pretty much something along the lines of chemistry studies matter. Okay, and we define matter as anything that occupies space. So anything that occupies space and has mass. Okay, so that definition pretty much means anything, everything, right? So pretty much everything's going to have some mass and occupy space. Even the air outside, like you may not think the air outside is occupying a space or that it has any mass, but it does. Right? So the pen you're using to take notes, the paper you're writing on, the computer you're using, your body, the air outside, all of that stuff occupies space. All of it has mass. So all of it is made of matter. Okay, and then what I want to tell you for the rest of this intro is kind of the breakdown of matter. So kind of the idea of what's matter made of, and then sort of do a little breakdown with that. Okay, so thing about this is kind of a little breakdown flowchart deal. Okay, so matter is made of what are called chemical elements. Okay, so sometimes with this we may not use the word chemical, we may just say elements. Okay, but that's what makes up matter. Right, so we're basically saying chemical elements make up everything, right? Whether it's the air we're breathing, the pen you're using, your dog, your cat, the grass in your backyard, whatever, it's elements that are making up those things. Okay, and there's some variation in numbers that you see with this, but I'm going to give you just some ballpark estimates. So there's around 100 elements that we find in nature. We're studying biology, so we kind of care about what chemical elements we find in nature. So about 100 in nature. There's about 25 that are required for life. Right, so that breakdown's kind of like 100 in nature, but around 25 of those are things we find in living things. Okay, and then there are 4 of them when it comes to biology. There are 4 of them that are the big 4. And I'll tell you those when we get to our little lecture on elements. I'll tell you what those big 4 are, along with some of the others that we see. All right, so matter made up of elements, and then these elements are made up of what are called atoms. Okay, so matter made of elements, elements made of atoms. Okay, and the atoms are the smallest units that have properties. Okay, smallest units that have properties of the element. All right, so we also will have a lecture video on atoms and their structure. Okay, so we kind of had 2 or 3 things we're looking at that are what are atoms, what are elements, how are they different, all that sort of thing. All right, so that's our intro. When we get past talking about atoms and elements, then we'll look at some things like how do the atoms of elements interact with each other. That's something called chemical bonding. And then that forms molecules or compounds. So then we'll start looking at some of those like water and acids and bases and salts and then things in our diet, the biologically important things like proteins, carbs, fats, that kind of deal.